Hi, it's week 2 of season 12 of the Lake Stevens Battle Association. We have 6 battles this week, and one thing I want to point out is that every single battle got challenged with our custom rule set. Like, nobody just skipped it. That's kind of fun. So, first, I have it sorted from shortest to longest battles. And first, we have Josh versus Rodney. And this one's fun. Alright, so he sends out Garchomp, and the sticky web gets dropped. And I don't think Rodney's really kept up with the meta since, like, Gen 6. And so I don't think he was expecting a scale shot here, because that's a pretty new move. But of course he's going to use Scale Shot. He didn't really have any other great switch-ins for it anyway. Urshifu can't do anything. He uses extreme speed after the defense drop. And, yeah, he is expecting, Galvantula to be Focus Sash, because it's almost always Focus Sash. So that's why you use the double hit move. And then, so you think, obviously, yeah, Josh is going to win. He's only got 2 left to deal with. But somehow it turns around. Right, the Thunder Wave misses. He uses Rapid Spin to get rid of the web. And then he tries to bait a Draco Meteor, but Rodney doesn't use Draco Meteor. It's got Psychic, Aura Sphere, Mystical Fire, and probably Roost. Okay, and then he tries Thunder Wave again. This time it works. He uses Teleport rather than Moonblast. He may not have it. It's probably Protect, because it's got Wish on it. And then he hits him with the Draco, and then Pekka does way more than it should this round. He survives the Dark Pulse, hits him with the Malignant Chain, so now he's Toxic and Confused. Can you imagine? Jeez. That is a heck of a Pokemon. And it got 2 confusions, so that was rough for it. And despite having such a great lead, he ends up only getting 2 points. Yeah, letting anything get set up can cost you the game. Next, we have Azoth versus Dylan, and so Azoth has an entire bug team. Nobody has been expecting him to win. And I've literally never seen a Volcarona not Quiver Dance on the first turn. Like, even when it can KO, it always Quiver Dances, because it expects a switch. And so this has gone quite badly for Azoth so far. He didn't know how tanky Gouging Fire was, and Gouging Fire hits really hard. And he's extra worried, because his entire team at this point is weak to fire, except for Cleavor. And he's got all this boost, but luckily he's confused. How did he get confused? Oh, because Raging Fury is Outrage but fire. And he pops the balloon. I don't know what he was expecting Clodsire to do this game. I think he was expecting either Scolipede, Caesar, or Heracross to get a Swords Dance, and he was going to use his Unaware. Because usually Scolopede's only move is Earthquake. So that's why he would have had the air balloon. And so he knows that Earthquake's not going to work. He knows that Clodsire's not really going to be able to do anything to Heracross except maybe a Toxic. And so he hits him with the Trailblaze, which was a good move. But he knows he's still not faster than Mega Alakazam. So he switches in his Dark type to be immune to the Psyshock. And he does not want that first impression, so he switches in his Steel type. And he had to. He couldn't risk predicting ahead. And this guy gets off to a flamethrower. It was good that he took out the Goodra, because everything was weak to it. And it didn't have Gooey, because Gooey would have reduced Heracross's speed. And I don't see a reason why it would have Sap Sipper, because nothing has grass. It already quadruple resists grass. Why does it get Sap Sipper? So it must have been Shell Armor. He didn't want any crits. So it must have been like a defense boosting set, like an Iron Press. And this is Hidden Power Rock, because everything is weak to rock. But it's not enough. I think Psyshock might have done more than Hidden Power Rock. And we go for the Ancient Power, and the Ancient Power does not proc this time. And he is waiting for that last Reflect turn before he goes through. Cryogonal cannot KO a thing in this world. I don't even think it beats Landorus. And then, yeah, he's totally free for the speed-boosted close combats. Yeah, after he got rid of Clodsire, I think he could just spam close combat. And, oh, sorry, I missed this one turn where he uses Psyshock on the low kicks. That was by accident. Alright. But it's really easy to not know that low kicks is a dark type. I was expecting it to be fighting type, personally. And next we have a Chartwig versus... That's Joey. Alright. Yeah. See, they both have the same username. No, that's not Joey. Okay. Yeah, they... So, this is James. Alright, so we get the Sticky Web lead, because that's going to be really helpful against Ogerpon. But the Heavy Slam does a lot. Is this a banded Garganical? No, it's not. And he gets the setup here. Doesn't have Earthquake. Just gotta have Recover instead. So, Chilly Reception. I thought this was an April Fool's Day thing. But Chilly Reception, it says he's preparing to tell a chillingly bad joke. I didn't know Pokemon could understand jokes. And the joke is so bad that it makes it start snowing. And that has some good uses, because his Qianpao is an ice type, so snow increases the defense of all ice types by 50%, just like how sand increases special defense from rock types. And Ruination, such a good move. It does 50%. Most things can't do 50% to things, but he can always do it. And then he can usually take less than 50 from everything that happens. And he sacks his Rabombi for the switch, because although he might have considered switching in Slowking, he might have gotten a predict of the Headlong Rush. So this, I didn't understand why he would possibly send this guy in. He can't Thunderclap. He's probably going to survive a Draco Meteor, but watch this. Alright, it's snowing, and he has the speed drop from the sticky webs, so he's going to go first. The Raging Bolt is. Weather Ball! Chilly Reception Weather Ball. I smiled when I saw this. This was the highlight of the whole week. Weather Ball will always... If I were a pageant judge, I would give I would give you points for Weather Ball. Always. And then I think Dragapult's a little overrated because it doesn't do as much damage as you hope it does, even with Choice Band, which it usually has. But it's a cleanup sweeper. And this is really scary. Ogerpon is banned, but we unbanned it for some reason. Like, it's banned in Nat decks. It's extra strong when it's able to Terra, because it gets like a extra boost from Terastallization. And it's got Mold Breaker, so that means that it can hit things with Flash Fire with Fire type moves. And so it's good against Heatran, and everybody likes Heatran, so they got rid of him. And the Stomping Tantrum did not work. He must have thought that he was gonna outspeed, because otherwise he would have Thunderclapped. And that's almost enough to knock it out, but Ogerpon is a big threat, especially when it's got the Sword Stance. But if it wasn't for Sticky Web, I think Ogerpon would have swept. So, sorry, Cinderace used to have its ability banned, and then I think we unbanned the ability ban? Yeah, Libero is fine. But if it weren't for Libero, he would have lost in that altercation. Rillaboom is not gonna do much to Slowking. But it's a banded knockoff, so yes, it does. And so he knows that he's locked into knockoff, so he switches in his Dark type to resist the knockoff. And I'm pretty sure this Qianpao is banded. It was unfortunate that they gave Rillaboom Grassy Surge, but also made it weak to the move that gets rid of Grassy Surge. So of course you're gonna use it. And then these guys keep meeting each other and nothing happens. they're just both upset about it right now. They're like, not this guy again. And you can't toxic Garganical, which would be its main weakness. And he gets too greedy with his salt cures. Like if he had recovered instead of salt cured, that might have gone a little different. Like that was the blunder of the game. No, then no. All right, so here's what would have happened. Then he would have sent in his guy, his Cinderace. Cinderace would have high jump kicked, and then James would have switched into Dragapult, and Cinderace would have lost. And he tries to go for as much damage as he can. He uses his Choice Band Grassy Glide, but it's not enough for this ice move. Oh, it's not banded, it's just that strong. Well, next we have Ross versus Taco. And so he picked Mr. Mime and Mr. Mime G just for the lulz, but I don't think he's used either of them. Just to throw you off, just to make you less prepared. And that fake out does 31 from a crit. So he expects Earth Power, but for some reason, this Nidoking is physical. Taco wanted to switch it up. And he gets the Sticky Web. The Sticky Web ends up making a huge difference. Everyone's using Sticky Web. Alright, we got Rabombi, we got Araquanid, we got, who else? Oh, and Galvantula. But weirdly enough, the Bug team did not use Sticky Web. So that is a little weird that there's been 3 Sticky Webs this week. That's 3 out of 12 of us. A quarter. Alright, and then Gastrodon can't do a dang thing to Zapdos, except Toxic it. Just like Clodsire. But it walls it, sort of. As long as Zapdos has Roost, its Hurricane is going to beat it. Alright, and then the Taunt. Taunt always gets me. He doesn't get the Leech Seed. And then I think Glysaur is usually on Taco's team, so he's not used to fighting it. And he just goes for Ancient Power. He's put Ancient Power on Zapdos every single time, but it has not procced until now. And now it takes 32% instead of 48% from the Stone Edges. And this Glysaur does not have Toxic. Alright, this part's kind of funny. So, he's got his Tyranitar. Alright, he's got his special defense boosts. He is not worried about this Zapdos. He just goes for Stealth Rock. He's so confident with it. He doesn't even switch in expecting the Thunderbolt. He doesn't switch in Glysaur or Gastrodon. He just Stone Edges. And it's enough. He survives 2 Thunderbolts. From a boosted Zapdos. And then he goes for Ice Punch because, you know, that's going to cover his bases. He switched out his Yeah, Ice Punch was just for a possible Glysaur switch. Because it would have resisted both Superpower and Earthquake. Taco's nicknames. And then it gets the double damage twice. And now he's trying to quick attack him because he's extra weak to it. Now that Tyranitar's gone, his team is very weak to flying. But Glysaur is so defensive, he doesn't even care. He's not weak to it, but... And now Taco's team is weak to rock. Jeez. And then I think this... What is this? Banded Ice Shard? No, it's Life Orb. It's just that Sneasler is very frail. And then it gets pretty straightforward. Yeah, this sticky web is so helpful for him. I just realized a third of us have names that start with J. There's Joey, Jack, James, and Josh. So, yeah, this is Joey versus Jack. Alright, Will Smith versus Ferrothorn. So, I think it was interesting that Landorus I was equipped with Earthquake rather than Earth Power. But this is because Sheer Force is banned and he's forced to use Sand Force. But he's taking advantage of the Sand Force by bringing Tyranitar. 3 of these are all sand guys. But yeah, what are the chances that both of the Sheer Force guys are going physical when they're normally special? Like Landorus and Nidoking. And he goes for Toxic Spike. And he gets the worst luck against this guy. He is non-stop damaging Fortress. Alright? He uses it 3 times and Fortress survives with 1%. And then loses to 2 Gyro Balls. And he gets the Spike. So normally a Weezing Galar would be able to absorb the Poison Spike. And it's possible he forgot he gave him Levitate. It gets Misty Surge? I didn't know that. I didn't know it got Misty Surge. But it's weird that this guy gets Defog. The most random things get Defog. And his Fire Blast misses. Oh, this is a very lucky Fortress. I mix up which one is which pause. And then the Fire Blast finally hits the second time, but not before doing 24 damage. Alright, and then he gets hit by the Diamond Storm, because I assume this is a Iron Press. He's got Body Press on this, because Excadrill and Tyranitar are so weak to fighting. But Diamond Storm is doing exactly the same amount of damage as the Sludge Bomb. And Diamond Storm is also doing almost the same as Mystical Fire, so maybe Mystical Fire would have been the move there. And it's a double KO, because he gets damaged by the poison. The Diancie gets damaged by the poison. And then he expects Ivy Cudgel, and he predicts correctly, but it's still a crit, which is pretty bad. And he's trying to Giga Drain the Ogerpon for neutral. Now this is a matchup I've seen a lot. This must be a choiced Gengar, because Gengar usually almost always has Focus Blast, and if he's putting like Body Press on his Diancie, he's definitely aware that fighting is a good thing to have, but he gets hit by the Pursuit. I don't know who he was planning to switch into. And I don't remember which, but Tangros, one of Tangros' defenses is really skewed. And then this Mew. Mew you cannot ever be prepared enough for, because it can learn nearly every move. Not as many as Smeargle, but it can do a lot more with it. So, like 10 years ago, I used this set against Rodney, and that really bothered him. I had a Cosmic Power Mew, and then it was so controversial, I never used this strategy ever again. And this must be max physical, because after he got rid of Gengar and Diancie, there was nothing that was going to hit him specially. So I know that Mew gets, I think, Acid Armor and Amnesia. But that would be 2 moves. I think Cosmic Power is kind of a recent addition. And if he hadn't gotten that crit, I think Mew was gonna sweep. But now he kind of has to sack his Tyranitar and use the Sand Rush. Underminer! And they quote him. They quote the Underminer. I am always beneath you, but nothing is beneath me. Alright, finally we have the longest battle of the week, which is me versus Alex. Last week Alex also had the longest battle also, against Chartwig. Alright, so he has an interesting team. You can tell that he really built for type variety and type effectiveness. So he has a switch in for basically every moveset. And 3 of them are Volt Turners. So he can just switch between all of these and basically never take any damage, which is why this one ends up taking so much longer. And 5 of these are potential leads, so I don't know which one to prepare for. I guess maybe Mimikyu was better as a lead for me. And he survives the Ceaseless Edge. I knew he'd do that. Unless he was... even if he was banded. And then I get the Trick Room off, but a mistake I made was going for the Reflect. The Reflect did not help at all. I should have teleported. Oh no, he was gonna... Yeah, because these spikes end up really messing with me. Because I use Slowbro a lot. I switch him out to get his regenerators, but because of these spikes, instead of healing 33%, he heals 17%. And I got too greedy with my reflect, so if I had known ahead of time that he needed heavy-duty boots rather than light clay, I probably would have done that. And he doesn't go for a third Ceaseless Edge. No, I expected it, because he wants to set up a third row of spikes. But because of that, that really messes with my Carbink. Like, it would have survived an Aqua Jet and Ceaseless Edge. But, and if I just switched out earlier, I would have had one more turn of Trick Room and he'd been able to do something. Those Trick Room turns end up getting so precious. And, alright, so I expected a Fake Out. I, wanted to switch out Slowbro as many times as I could because it really needed those 77s, or those 17%. And Blissey Hard Walls Ninetales Alola. And it's weak enough that I expect to be able to heal my Slowbro. But this is a banded Ceruledge, and it's able to do 99%. If this was still Hail, it would have lost. And I managed to get up one Trick Room. And I think he's locked in. And what I'm going for here is a Healing Wish onto my Diancie. And he happens to switch out at the same time. And he's trying to Encore me so that I'm forced to use... I don't know what move he was expecting. And I expect Mawile to resist both Freeze Dry or Moonblast or a Switch. And that's right, he kind of resists it, but he gets frozen. And then he thaws. So his team is super good. So you see how Ninetales is quadruple weak to Steel, but Rotom is quadruple resistant to Steel. So he switches him in, and I expect that, so I play rough, but it only does 33 because he's got the Aurora Veil. Now, if he hadn't had Aurora Veil, I would have been able to knock it out even with Will-O-Wisp. And I expect him to go for Will-O-Wisp, so I send in Slowpoke to get the 17%, but he Volt switches. There's no better move for that. Yeah, that was my best move. And I expect another U-turn. Oh no, I expect a close combat. And then I predicted the U-turn, and I felt so clever about that I didn't think about what I was going to do next. Because he doesn't make it easy for me. He doesn't give me good options. And then, I'm expecting a taunt from the Landorus, but he U-turns instead, which is also a good move. But Trick Room's not that common of a move for Mimikyu to have. And now he's coming in to burn it, and I'm worried Because if he heals one more with the leftovers, if I go for Trick Room, then my play rough is not gonna knock out. So, I go for Trick Room anyway, because I think that's the more important thing. And, I go for Shadow Claw. Because I overestimate its defense. I think it can handle it. But ideally, I should have switched into Blissey. And I give Iron Hands 3 turns of Trick Room. And I am expecting him to switch into Landorus to use the Intimidate. Because he's avoiding the Earthquake. But he chooses his other ground immunity, Rodom. And if he had switched into Landorus instead, I think this might have been a win for me. And ideally, I should have switched into Blissey. But I got too greedy about this Quark Drive. And then he fakes out my final Trick Room turn. And I expect him to U-turn, because if you're going to put U-turn on something, you should use it. And so I managed to predict the Stair Ledge. And I overestimate Iron Hand's bulkiness. I think this might be banded or scarfed. No, it's not either of those. It's like we know it's not either of those because you can Swords Dance. And then yeah, there wasn't anything I could do. All right, even if I had Healing Wished, even if I had Toxic. And then I know that Carbank's not going to survive anything, so I switch out Slowpoke to get it from 31 to 48. And then the knockoff does him in. And, yeah, that's 2 losses for me. I am at number 12 out of 12. And I'm like, what? I played this for 14 years. But so is everyone else. They're just as good as I am. But yeah, currently Josh is in the lead for beating me so bad last week. And Alex got a few points. It made him in the positive now. That made up for his last week's loss against Chartwig. And